Before moving to Mr. Ahmed Kouchouk, I want to emphasize on the key messages in this presentation. There are three things that we need to work on, and that should be, of course, availability of data, accessibility of data. These data should be easy to understand. Also, quality of data should be assured. So availability, accessibility, and quality. Because data should be or can be available but very technical or complicated. Also, the parliament should care for the budget and the overall spending and financial scheme, because if you focus only on the budget, then 20% of the GDP is out of your scope. Third, you should not only care for the cash flow, we should care for the assets and liabilities of the country. What the state owns and what or how much is the state in debt for other countries. Also, we should review the fiscal forecast prepared by the government and the error margin, because if the error margin is higher than expected, then there's something wrong going on. And this is an indicator that should be taken into consideration. Maybe when it comes to reviewing the wages, these are general rules. I'm not referring here to Egypt. I'm referring to maybe the banana republics. Also, the fiscal risks. As you have risk management in banks, for example, you should have risk management in the Ministry of Finance, because no one cares for the contingent liabilities. And this is not the case in Egypt. We only care for the debt service. But what about the other commitments or liabilities? Because, for example, maybe a case we had to pay $2 billion for a suit, and we should have saved money for that. And this is not the case we plan our budget. We should also have a number of tools for fiscal transparency, and the sources should be enlisted and identified. Equally important, we should have audited financial statements. So the budget should be accompanied with audited financial statements by a third party. And I'm not here referring to the parliament. So someone independent should review that and report on that. You know, of course, you know that the Brazil presidents impeached, and the same happened in Greece. Yes, that can be revised by the Central Bank of Egypt or other entities, and the parliament should be there. This is the budget, this is the expenses, and this is the audited report. So the parliament should be able to see everything. When you give partial information, this is lack of transparency. When you make use of the inefficiencies of the accounting capacities, then you are not working for achieving financial transparency. I know that you're not following up with all the technical details, but that's okay. There are challenges and issues all over the world, and maybe that's a positive sign, but we are hard pressed to do so. Of course, there might be some political resistance for achieving fiscal transparency. Also, the parliament oversight is very important. The table presented at the end of the presentation. I don't know why you're laughing, Ahmed, and you make me laugh. There is uh, measurement, there is a criteria to measure to what extent the parliament is able to oversee the budget. And you know, we're doing really well. No, I'm joking. We're far off. The ideal timeline for the parliament to review the budget ranges from 2 months to 3 months. You should have the budget for 2 or 3 months to study, analyze, to be sent to the different committees. The most important thing here is that all the countries stopped focusing on budget only. Now, countries care for the overall picture of the financial management scheme because there are many risks that need to be addressed, and the most important factor is the parliament, because this is the only body entitled to exert pressure on the government to set the rules that the government should work in accordance with. That's it. And now I'd like to give the floor to Ahmed Kouchouk. Very confidently to Ahmed Kouchouk now. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Abla, so much for inviting me. And I would like to discuss this matter with you. It's very, very critical and important, and it's always under represented in our discussions. And honestly speaking, even inside the ministry, we fought a lot to focus on that. And after we improved our score, people cared for it. But before that, it was really hard to discuss this, and this is part of the cultural mindset, I have to say so. The way we deal with transparency is very concerning. We are not comfortable dealing with transparency. And we are not here just to review the accomplishments. No, we are here to discuss the current situation and the future plans, because we do not want to stay the way we are or to go backwards. Our ambition is to improve and to be ahead, or to be on equal footing with other countries that values the timely issuance of information with good quality in order for the citizens to be able to understand and analyze. So, for example, I can give you some data and you analyze the data the way you want, because giving absolute figures or making information available is not the only thing. And this difference in analyzing and processing the data should not be problematic. That should be a healthy sign. So today I just want to very briefly give you a presentation on Egypt's experience, and I will try to stay relevant to the previous presentation. What did we achieve? What don't we enforce? And of course, we do not do everything the correct way, but we have done much in this regard. And I will also be interested to comment on the quality of the work, because it's relatively easy to target 60 as our future score. We can get that number, but that's not the real issue. Of course, I care for the international community ratings and the image of Egypt among the world, but we should care more for improving things on ground through the community dialogue and the meaning these numbers have. First, do we have something in the government system before moving to the public financial management stressing the importance of transparency? Yes, in Egypt 2030 vision there is a pillar on transparency. what we call institutional reform or administrative reform, under which in the fourth pillar, there is part on communication and on fiscal transparency. So the government cares for that, and we have a reference as a government to care for that. Because this goes in line with Egypt Vision 2030. Why do we care for this pillar? Yes, it's there in the government program, but we are also aware that public financial management and budgeting is just an attempt to use your limited resources to fund your ever increasing needs. That's why you should have a list of priorities and care for what you can fund and what you can't fund, because the resources will always be limited compared to the needs. That's why you need to have enough data to enable people in the Ministry of Finance to take informed decisions. So our main drive is to have quality data issued in a timely manner to make informed decisions. This is the main dimension. Also, you need to set a list of priorities and how you define this. This is not according to the government. This should be set according to the parliament, the people needs, and we need to work on that in the future in order to be able to reflect the needs or the aspirations of the people when it comes to spending and funding. And the latest score given to Egypt in this regard gives a detailed snapshot. We have this presentation in Arabic as well, and we will send you the Arabic version of this presentation. It's now in English on the screen. And I'm sorry, I'm a bit embarrassed that it's written in English and I'm speaking in Arabic. But yes, this presentation will be translated and sent to you.
This slide is extremely important because regardless of our score, they scored the 41st that we scored in 2017. There are 8 documents. First, we have 3 indicators. The budget transparency. There's another one that we scored really low of, which was the public participation and the budget oversight, which represents the parliament oversight. Because we can talk about it in a friendly manner, but this is something you can ask about more. However, at the end of the day, this score shows that we are partners, that we have to work together in order to accomplish much. And this is the part that I would like to shed further light on today. So the first 2 indices were really took most of our attention. The transparency, the open budget index, and the public participation. There are 8 important documents that are upon which the countries are assessed. Say that you score 20 on the key budget statement, the pre-budget statement. If you publish this document, you get a score. The availability and the timeliness of this document will get you higher score. But if after the issuance of the budget and I give the pre-budget statement, I will not get any score. So my point here that the score meets certain criteria. It is issued. Um, it's issued in a certain point in time, and then you score higher for the quality. So there are 8 documents or 8 kinds of data that follow the process of budgeting from the pre-budget statement up until the final the year-end report. In 2017, out of the 8 documents, we issued 5, and three were not issued timely, because the mid-year review, which assesses the mid-year performance, fiscal performance, when we issued it in the first time last year, but we did not get the score for it because it was issued at a later point. We never ever published the year-end report, but we are planning to do it this year in order to see how we deviated from the budget that was set. The 8th document issued by the General or Central Auditing Organization. What if we publish 7 or 8 documents? What if we issue the whole 8 of them? Are we done? No. For each document, we have certain rules and codes for improvement. We have been able to accomplish the mid-year review and the year-end review or report, but the point was not only getting higher score, rather to think together about what we could do in order to widen the debate about the budget and public finances in general. We cannot, the translation booth cannot hear the speakers because he's not using a microphone. We are not the ones who assess the statement. It's an international organization. It's not even the IMF, or it's not a government. Independent experts are assigned for the job. We get the questions and we fill them out, and then they conduct the review. And it's very, very beneficial. They give us training and they raise awareness, but even more importantly, it provides a platform. However, the main takeaways here, to go a step further, was that we needed to deal with this profile more professionally. And the first step is establishment of a unit within the Ministry of Finance, and to give them the powers and the mandate to do it. And it's not a luxury. There must be someone whose job is to follow on these 8 instruments and to communicate with people. That's why we established the unit weeks ago. We had a team in place working headed by Ms. Sara'id. The unit falls under my own supervision, but it has large powers for access to information, representation of the Ministry of Finance. So we established the unit for transparency and communication, and the whole idea is to have a team of 4 or 5 who are highly trained so that they can follow this profile from 9 to 5. They track the timeline of the publications and to see the rooms for improvement. They work on transparency and communication. However, they give the feedback to the officials. By the way, prior, the team was set within the group that sets the budget. However, we realized that we need to introduce a new mandate for the job. It's not only for the score, but it was an imperative to have someone in charge of this publication. If you know of Sarah Eid and her team, you would know that they have full faith in their job. But my point here is having a specialized team in place is really, really important. At the end of the day, you need to access information. If you have a specialized task force or a team, they would be able to communicate with you, to follow up on things. This is their job, a full-time job. The same thing we did. We established a unit for investment relations, for investors relations. In the Ministry of Finance, we're talking about investors of the debt instruments because these people want some reassurances or assertions whenever they read the newspaper. So we do not deal with these profiles individually. We have an accurate job description for this kind of work to push it ahead. So the unit is aimed at providing the largest amount of information available and even more importantly to make the raw information available so that it could be analyzed by third parties and to provide the data in different forms so that it could give the whole context or the whole picture. This is part one. This first part needs improvement, that is true, however, but there is very promising beginnings. But the second part needs a lot of work, participation. Because this, we will not be able to do it. We will not be able to deliver on it. We need to cooperate with all the NGOs, with all think tanks and universities and different agencies, and not only in Cairo. This needs a different kind of job. I can tell you how we do it, but this is where we scored lowest. I'm going to skip some parts. I just wanted to show you the slide. This is Miss Sarah. She's now a journalist and she goes down to talk to people on the streets. And sometimes, because of the lack of the capabilities, they do everything themselves. I want to thank them sincerely for the citizens' budget. What happened recently? Kindly ask the speaker to keep the microphone to closer to him because I cannot get what he's saying. So it is available. I'm telling you what we have been able to deliver on. But sometimes you find this kind of baits on the websites. Once you press on the link, you find it redirecting you. Um, and this is the difference that we have now from having a team in place. They issued the report in Arabic and English. They issued a summary of 4 pages. They issued a summary and another detailed one, and the amount, the plethora of information that I found here was I never thought could be made available. The education plans for every government, for every governorate, and I'm talking about really high quality information that was never made available before. And this is the kind of information that is important. They want to know the percentage of wages, for example, in this year's budget. And if we compare it to last year's budget or report, you'll find at least 10 or 15 tables or new form of information introduced, which will hopefully improve with time. Most importantly, is to follow up on this information to see which has been delivered by the end of the year. I'd like to thank them sincerely. When you have a technical team, had it not been for that team, for that technical team, a lot of the information would have been missing. The role of citizen comes under the participation. But the room for improvement is never ending. We do not want to stop anywhere, and our end goal is not the score. We aim at creating higher awareness. But my bottom line here is that more often than not, that proper institutional work is the first step. Even if we have the desire, even if we have the will to do so, without technical people, you will not be able to reach it. On the right side, you have the links, and I have brought the presentation in a PDF form. These are a group of instruments provided on the different websites, and you can download the data. These are all the documents, the mid-year review and the year-end report of 2016-2017. And last year, this is a group of these seminars that we did last year with a large number of universities and CSOs, and we branched out of Cairo, visiting 2 governorates, and we are in arrangement with other governorates and universities and partners, where we discuss the budget. But you have to understand that no matter how much we do, it is not enough. Now we are working on entering into 15 protocols with other agencies, so that our job is to provide the information, and they can provide the feedback or the needs required. Here I would like to point out something that could be helpful. تكافل وكرامة, which is an NGO. It's a social protection scheme. The international financing bodies sometimes give some condition that there must be a social protection scheme. And recently, 12 million EGP were channeled to Asyut, but were misallocated. And that was made clear during the assessment. I'm reiterating here that when we have a mechanism, it showed where the mistakes happened and how it could be corrected. I'm not going to repeat myself in order to leave more room for the debate, but I also would like to reaffirm the importance of having a technical unit that has been mandated and which has the powers to move forward, which has been a literal translation of the ministerial decree. The ministerial decree was issued in 3 pages, which shows its role in short term and long term. And this is the interactive website that I have been talking about. It shows historical data. And by the way, this data is provided, is available in Excel form. And this is how we scored higher, because we provided it in an Excel form for people who wanted to get the analytics. So we're working on this website and we're hoping to improve it within the coming days. This is something that we're working on, but I cannot promise to finish it anytime soon. That we are working on a citizen follow-up mechanism, but we are getting into more protocols to be able to reach people, and this is one of the mandates of the unit. When we assigned the terms of reference of the unit, we looked back at all that has been said based on the other international expertise, and the unit and we have been able to put it within the mandate of the unit so that they have an idea of what's happening around the world. I'm going to stop here, but seriously, this shows how pleased I am with working on these things. It gives me pleasure. These are the fruits of reform, and it gives more space, and I'm going to stop here.